Welcome back to my crafting channel, and in today's video we're going to be building tree stumps. There's actually quite a few tree building tutorials out there, but a lot of them require a lot of wire bending or paper mache drying time, and it really didn't fit my needs. As you may know, I am a professional terrain builder, and last year alone I built probably 1,000 sets of terrain. So none of those tutorials really fit my purpose. I'm the type of crafter who really needs to have things progress a little bit fast and have a fun time doing it. So with today's build, the goal was to make something fast, easy, functional, and that looks really good on the table. And I use these trees in my games too. I find them very useful. They're great for settings in a forest or maybe a barren landscape where all the trees have been cut down. They're just going to be your basic tree stumps. You can add other stuff to them later if you want, but today I'm just showing you how to build the basics. So let's get into that video. So the main stumps I'm making today are cut from 2x2 by 5-inch pieces of XPS foam. These are going to represent trees on a battle map. I will also be making some smaller tree stumps to add to the board for flavor and a little bit of extra difficult terrain. You'll see those occasionally throughout the video. Just note that these are made exactly the same way as the taller tree trunks. I'm using a handheld hot wire tool to carve out a circular shape in each piece. I do this lengthwise on the piece of foam, as this will give the piece a more tree-like appearance even from the beginning. I am using hot wire tools in this video, but I've also just used a knife in the past and gotten a similar result. That said, the knife method does take more time, and we're doing a quick and easy video. You can pick up one of these handheld hot wire tools on Amazon for about 25 bucks, and I will have a link in the description of this video if you are interested. But the fastest way is to use a Proxxon hot wire cutter. I can even do that with one hand. The best way to do it with a hot wire table like this is to adjust the wire at a little bit of an angle. That way the bottom flares out a little when we cut our shapes. I use a Sharpie to mark out the top of each tree stump. That way I don't cut too deep and have skinny looking trees. So I cut out the basic shape, then I cut indentations along the base of each trunk. I do this on the opposite side of the wire. This will give the tree trunks a sort of rooted look. I give the trees a more bowed-in organic look by using a heat gun. I don't apply a lot of heat, just to the middle section of each trunk. This gives each piece a more tree-like appearance rather than having that fabricated look of our previous shapes. Then I pull out a wire brush and a dust mask, because you don't want this stuff in your lungs, and scrape it along the outside of all the tree trunks. I only use the brush on the outsides, meaning not on top or bottom of each trunk. And 6 minutes of scraping later, we have all these tree stumps ready for the next step. And for that step, we're using a black ballpoint pen to draw in some tree rings on top of each piece. This step doesn't take long. It will just give us a little bit of a nice detail to look at on top of each trunk. I then impale each piece with a bamboo skewer right in the bottom and set them up on a piece of styrofoam. These make perfect handles for the painting process and prevents me having to wait for two sides to dry. For the smaller pieces, I use toothpicks in the same way. And we're now ready to paint. And if you happen to be getting something out of this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. That not only boosts my self-esteem, but it pushes it out to more crafters like you and me. Today I'm undercoating each piece with a healthy layer of black paint and PVA glue. You can use Mod Podge if you want, or even just use latex house paint. They all work well. I'm giving these tree trunks a pretty basic paint job. I'm just base coating everything brown, but please note that you can use other colors. Trees don't have to be just brown bark. You could do a variety of browns, grays, greens, blacks, whites, or even trunks with a hint of blue if you wanted. There's not just one way to paint wood. And I'm going to save myself a few cents and put the unused paint back in the bottle. Next, I'm using khaki to paint the core of each tree trunk. I use a flat brush to get a nice crisp edge, and even taking my time with this part doesn't take more than a few minutes to paint all the pieces I'm working on. And then, with the same khaki paint, I dry brush all the brown areas. And I'm doing this in a horizontal motion to only catch the edges and the grains of the bark sections of the trees. You don't really want to do this step up and down, because then it'll get in all the cracks and you won't get the wood grain that we're going for. Then I do another dry brush layer with cream paint. This layer is going to be more light-handed than the previous layer, mainly focusing on the top of the tree trunk and the very bottom where the root sections start to flare out, just to pull out a little bit of detail. Luckily, it was a sunny winter day, so I could go out and spray a few generous layers of matte varnish on all the tree trunks. When back inside, I unattach all the bamboo skewers and continue on to the next step. Now we're going to need a screwdriver and some screws. And I just add these screws to the bottom of each trunk. These are both to weigh down each piece and prevent them from tumbling over, as well as to fill the holes made by the bamboo skewers. Thanks so much to the patrons who've stuck by my side the last few years. The channel grows slowly but surely. You've really stuck it out the last few years with me, through the rough times, through the good times, and good stuff's to come. I got a lot of plans. I don't want to give too much away yet, but it's going to be something a little bit different than your average crafting channel. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you want to see that, and I'll see you next time, probably in a couple weeks. And now we have ourselves some handy little forest terrain that goes well with battle grids for games like Dungeons & Dragons. For some extra flavor, you can attach a little plastic greenery to each trunk, or even just some mossy flock for some extra rainforesty look. It's really up to you. This time, I'm just making some extra modular tree trunks for use with a variety of settings. And now for a little bit of glamour shots. And if you want to watch more of my content, don't forget to check out my dungeon build or this video on the screen right now.